put in place by the government to ensure your safety?
Thank you very much, Minister Cox, and allow me to start by congratulating Minister Cox and her team and the crew at TTT for allowing us to do these press conferences in virtual safety. And that starts the messaging from my point of view this morning. I listened to my colleague attentively yesterday, the Minister of Health, and listened, of course, to the Prime Minister on Sunday night. And I'd just like to add to what the Minister of Health, supported by the CMO, Dr. Parasaram, said yesterday. They said, stay at home, stay safe. I want to add one addition to that, Minister Diyal Singh. Save lives. The only way that we're going to be able to stay ahead of the curve, members of the media, wider listening and viewing public of Trinidad and Tobago, is following the advice of our medical experts at this time. The clear advice is that we should stay at home, therefore stay safe and save lives, thereby stopping the spread of this COVID-19. Over the past few days, there seems to have been some level of lack of clarity in the messaging, and I just want to use the opportunity this morning to let the general public know that there is no lack of clarity. In fact, in my conversations with the Commissioner of Police, both of us give the assurance that we are on the same page. The fight against COVID-19 is not a fight with respect to the law, and the messaging was never that persons should be arrested. The government's position and strong advisory position, which is similar language to what you hear being used in other jurisdictions as well, is please stay at home unless you absolutely have to go out. This is not about the police arresting anyone, although they will do what they have to within the parameters and confines of the law. We are asking people to please heed the advice of our medical experts. In helping this message, what I can announce here this morning is a decision has been taken based on the clear medical advice, and we will be amending our regulations today, the Minister of Health's regulations under the Public Health Ordinance, to reduce the number of persons who gather in any public place from 10 to 5. So the regulation will now read, during the period specified, which is until April 20th, persons shall not without reasonable justification gather in any public place where the number of persons gathered at any time exceeds 5. We are reducing it from the number of 10 to the number of 5. I just want to emphasize that this number is not a group that is together. So in public places that are not deemed to be essential, for example, supermarkets, banks, pharmacies, in public places, persons are not allowed in more than 5. And it doesn't mean that you have to be part of the group of 5. We are doing this in order to protect the population of Trinidad and Tobago. All of the measures are to protect. And as the Prime Minister very clearly said and articulately on Sunday, this is all about protection of people, and it is the use of common sense. So the Minister of Health, his CMO yesterday spoke about the exercising. There's no need to go back there. The Commissioner and Police and myself are in constant communication. On Sunday, I met with the heads of security, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, or Defence Force, or Intelligence Services at the National Operations Fusion Center, and we have contingency plans in place. We are continuing to do what we have always been doing, planning. We're asking for the population to please be part of the positive process, be part of the whole movement to beat COVID-19 and to ensure that it doesn't spread more than it should. We are doing everything that we can to ensure that the population is kept safe. The Minister of Works and Transport has also asked me to announce, carrying out what we asked last week, or what we announced last week, that there only be essential travel between Trinidad and Tobago via air bridge and or sea bridge. A decision was taken after consultation with the Tobago House of Assembly that we're taking the TNT Spirit off the inter-island sea bridge route. The Galleons Passage and the Jean de Valette will continue, but they will only make one trip back and forth per day. We are reducing the number of trips of the ferry, but the Cargo Star, the cargo ship, will continue with its normal ferry, its normal cargo service to ensure that cargo is transported to Tobago as often as it already is. This was done after consultation with the THA, and I was told as well the Tobago Chamber of Commerce. Ladies and gentlemen, now is not the time for mischief. Now is not the time for social irresponsibility. Now is the time for us all to be personally, socially responsible. One of the things that continues to disturb us is seeing persons gathered outside some of the essential services, the banks, the supermarkets, not so much the pharmacies. And even though inside social distancing is taking place, outside people are still cluttered. We are asking persons, this is for your own safety and protection, please have that social distancing outside. Please only leave your homes if absolutely necessary. The police will continue to be conducting roadblocks. Another point I'd like to emphasize is even before COVID-19, the police service has certain powers. The police service can ask anyone what is the business that they're about, especially at a heightened time like this. The police service, if they saw large gatherings of crowds and they determined that there was some risk associated with it, the police service can always ask us citizens to disperse and to move along. That is the existing law. What we're doing now, because of the heightened public health risk, is we're asking people to please stay at home and only leave if you're essential. It provided me with some degree of concern over the last few days as we were contacted by hundreds of people asking if they fall into the essential category. Even in the government service, we have limited the workers to those who are necessary. Every person who ventures out presents a risk or is exposed to a risk of spread of this disease, as we've heard the medical experts tell us over and over. So stay at home, stay safe, save lives. Yesterday, there was some disturbing video footage that is being investigated. We saw the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. It appeared officers as well as Trinidad and Tobago Defense officers, force officers or personnel engaging in some behavior that is condemned and not condoned. The Chief of Defense Staff immediately, as well as the Commissioner of Police, immediately commenced investigations. Those persons, when found, will be dealt with in accordance with the law. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force will continue to act in responsible manners. Unfortunately, throughout the world, you're always going to have a few rogue elements. At this time, it is not the time for that type of behavior. Another point I'd like to clarify, because there is a lot of mischief out there, including mischief, unfortunately, by those in the political arena. At no point in time did the government, through me, ever say that the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force have any more powers than they have. The Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force at this time is in full support of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and they are doing their part. And I'd like to take the opportunity to thank them for the support that they're giving, especially to the Ministry of Health and their personnel doing a fabulous job. Our Trinidad and Tobago Police Service officers who every day are putting themselves at risk, and now with this public health, they continue to protect and serve us. Our healthcare workers and all other frontline workers, our immigration workers who did it, our customs officers, even our media and communications personnel. I thank you all. The message is continue with your social distancing. Please stay at home. Only go out if necessary. The police are going to be conducting exercises where they are entitled to ask any one of us citizens where it is we're going to. And this is not about arresting people. That is the last thing that we want to do. But the police have shown that they will do it. So last night, again, unfortunately, there was a bar owner who was warned during the day yesterday to keep his bar closed. He assured the police he would. The police went away, and subsequently a few hours later were told he was doing the same activity again, opening his bar, people congregating and serving alcohol as though the bar were open. He was arrested and is charged. So that is the second one. The police will do all that they have to do to keep the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago safe. I emphasize in closing that we really are asking only essential people be out on the roads and moving from their house. The government itself is leading from in front, and we have taken certain decisions with our various ministries to only have absolutely the essential staff out. So I'd like to just end by reminding, and the regulation will be published during the course of today, that we have taken a decision at the government level to reduce the number of persons who may be gathered at any time in any public space to 5, so only 5 persons. And this, of course, excludes the banks and other essential services or supermarkets or pharmacies. But we're asking persons who are there to please continue to protect your life, protect the lives of others, and to practice safe social distancing. Thank you very much, Minister Cox.
Thank you very much, Minister Young. At this time, members of the media, the floor is now open to questions from you. But before we take the first one, please remember to identify yourself and the media house you represent before posing your question. And for those not using your phones to join this meeting, put it on silent because it will affect the audio. So we are open for questions now. 98.1 FM, Stephen Cummings.
Yes, good morning. Hearing me? Hello?
Yes, we are hearing you.
Yes, good morning. Just a question to the Minister of National Security. We've just, heard that there would be a further amendment or, to the regulations from 10 to 5 persons. I'm concerned about the persons going to the supermarkets. Of course, some supermarkets would have implemented their own, restrictions. But how are we really going to be able to manage that? It would be a very difficult task, especially even, going to the markets.
Okay.
I
understand the question, Mr. Cummings. Thank you very much. And thank you for the opportunity to clarify that. As I just said, the reduction of gatherings in public places from 10 to 5 obviously doesn't include outside the supermarkets and the banks, etc. But what we're asking persons to do, and this was a conversation I had with the Commissioner of Police and other members of the police service, they will do what they have been doing, which is encouraging people to exercise social distancing. But as we've heard the medical experts, as we heard the Prime Minister advise us, plead with us, strong advisory, it is up to each and every one of us to be socially responsible. Also, people, please try as much as possible to stay at home. There's no need to be going out to the bank and the supermarket every day. We understand that over the next few days, because it is the end of the month, there will be persons who are collecting their salaries, there will be persons who are collecting their pension checks, etc. The banks have been spoken to, they are cooperating, they will make the arrangements, different hours for our pensioners and our elderly who are more vulnerable during this time. But really it does come down to asking everyone to be personally socially responsible. And the police will do what they have to do. Because if police give instructions and they ask us to move along, etc., not outside these establishments, but otherwise, they know the powers that they have under the law.